9 WCCS. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us here today. It is a gorgeous day, huh?
It is.
Yeah.
Look at that.
2 in a row that we had.
We've had a couple interesting days, several interesting days this week.
Yeah. Interesting is one word for it. I can
if that's
think of
how
others.
we want to describe it. But, hey, look at that out there.
Next week, we're back down. Wednesday's high temperature's 40. I mean, they're just not giving up on this.
No, it's not. We get a couple days, and then we go the other direction.
Yeah, well, we've had snow this week, and we should not be at this time. So it's a colder start than usual. I guess benefits from that when we have this cold, wet spring is that the water tables are more than healthy at the moment.
Yes. No question about that.
Yeah. So.
And then what's going to happen here? We're really moving into, we're almost in May.
Yeah. And
by the end of next week, we'll hit May.
I read a report that said May and June are going to be hotter and drier. And they didn't say warmer. They said hotter and drier. So maybe that comes up. I don't know that there's anything we can do about that now.
No, other than try to prepare the best we can.
Yeah.
It crunches the window that we have to do things before, that hotter weather comes. So hopefully crops need to be planted in a timely manner, especially, the longer the growing season that's needed for a crop, the more critical that is to being able to get it planted in the spring.
Yeah.
Because on the other end, we know things will cycle back to fall and winter again.
Yeah.
And we got to be able to have enough growing degree days to get that crop mature, so that you can get a good harvest.
Yeah. I haven't prepared you for this by telling you I'm going to ask you about this, and the reason for that is because I just thought of it. But bees are such a vital part of what happens in the springtime and all season long. When you get temperatures getting down into the next Wednesday's morning low is going to be 30 degrees, and it's bee season now. They should be out there buzzing around and pollinating all over the place. How does that affect them?
Probably not much, other than they can't get out. They may not get out and forage as much, because they'll come out in the morning and they'll go in the evening. And then if weather conditions are not good for them, like snow and rain, they just won't fly nearly as much. You might still get a few going out, but that really slows up that process. So anything that's in bloom at that point in time that needs pollinated, that may not get pollinated as well when we have those adverse weather conditions, when we need them to be out working. Now there's other bees, the solitary bees and other insects that will do pollination that sometimes fly in more adverse weather conditions, so that can still help us out and get the job done. The other thing about still having cool weather now is that it does slow up the progression and plant growth as well as flower development right now. So if you're trying to raise fruit, this can be a little bit of a good thing, because we're just kind of hanging on, trying to get through the worst of this, and then hope that we don't have any bad conditions in May, when things will really come out and bloom. Oftentimes we get the magnolias coming out now, some of those earlier blooming trees and shrubs, and they can be fairly resistant, and hang on, especially the pears and things like that. The amelanchier is coming out now, or shadblow. They're starting to bloom now. You can see those in the woods. A lot of times we'll have those in the woods, those little dainty white flowers you look off in the woods. And
that's called shadblow? That's what that is?
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. Hey, we have a caller. Good morning.
Good morning. Dr. Bob.
Yes.
My wife is too shy to come on the air, but she wants to know what makes carrots bitter, and I want to know what fertilizer I should use on my raspberries. So not intending to give you the raspberries, of course. You're very respected in our household. So I'll get off the phone and I'll listen.
What makes carrots bitter, Bob?
Well, probably some growing conditions.
Bad childhood
can cause that. Yeah, bad childhood. Yeah, lengthening. Sometimes when they're in the ground too long, they kind of get over mature. They may not look over mature by the size of them, but anything that lengthens that out too much. So if we have, let's say, extended periods of drier weather where those plants get stressed and they struggle, then that can create some off flavors and bitterness, not just in carrots but in other crops as well. And then you can also probably sunlight can affect that also. A lot more cloudy days and things just don't grow as well. So again, it affects that length of time that crop's in the ground. The longer that it's in there, the more chance you might have of getting some off flavors or something going wrong there.
All right, let's
and then
sweeten up his raspberries.
Yeah. Fertilizer-wise, again, flowering, fruiting plant, so we don't need as much nitrogen. So a 10-20-10, a 5-10-5, a fertilizer with, we would call that a 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. So we've got the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, 3 key ingredients in typical fertilizers. And so we often talk about the ratios of those individual nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium within there. And for flowering and fruiting crops, we usually need something with higher phosphorus than we do the other two, the nitrogen and potassium parts of that. So you can't always find those numbers. I said 10-20-10 and 5-10-5 and 15-30-15. Those are typically what we're looking for. But again, look at that ratio. So if you can't find those exact numbers, try to go with the 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. Fertilizer, as close as you can match that, and that will work.
Okay. All righty. There you go. Hey, I'm looking at the hummingbird migration map and seeing if they're here yet. Evidently there are 2 here in Pennsylvania so far.
Well, there.
One sighted in Monaca, one sighted in Elwood City.
All right.
But the bulk of the hummingbirds, they are just to Pennsylvania's southern border right now, and so we'll start seeing them very, very soon. And somehow they know where to go to come back, because the same ones come back every year.
Yeah,
and we've got the same crop of hummingbirds that come and visit with us and stay the summer. So it's time for people to get those out too.
Yeah,
get your hummingbird feeders out.
Yeah, and you could, a little early too for bluebirds, but get your bluebird nesting boxes ready. As another good bird that comes around and nice.
Speaking of pollinators, I think we think that bees are the only pollinators, and that's not true.
And that's right. There's other things that can help get the job done.
Yeah, stink bugs.
Yeah. I don't know how well they do that.
I think there was one pollinating my living room floor just yesterday. I had to pick it up and invite it outside. But yeah, the hummingbird map, the hummingbird migration map is always fun to watch though. This time of the year as they're coming up.
Yeah, and there are serious birders out there that do observations and watch and sit on the mountaintops and they're looking up in the air with their binoculars, and you look up in the sky without them and you can't see a thing, and they can see these groups of birds that are flying over and past and get a count on them.
Yeah, I read that story last year of that fella that found the hummingbird with a broken leg on his patio, and he nursed it until the leg was healed, and it perched on his finger, and then it migrated southward. And when the hummingbirds came back, he went out and he stood on his patio and just put his finger up in the air. The darn thing came and landed right on it. Said, "Thank you. Look, I can do this." It did a little two-step there, and it was having a good time. But everybody loves their hummingbirds, and getting those hummingbird feeders out there is an important thing right now.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Anything else we need to tell people about things happening? It's Earth Day today.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Conserve something. Plant a plant, plant a tree, plant a shrub. Really, we're at the time frame where we can start to do that. The nurseries are stocking up and getting everything prepped for the growing season, and here we are.
There you go. Straight from the lips of Bob Pollock. Hey, it's Earth Day. Go grow something. And conserve something
and
while
nurture
you're at
it.
it. Yeah, very good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160, 757.